You're lovely with your smile so warm and your cheeks so soft. There is nothing for me but to love you and the way you look tonight. Whoa, lovely, don't you ever change. Keep that breathless charm and the way you look tonight.
Cotai South, Macau, the Lux Mansions.
Good morning, Macau.
Whoa.
Boots. Man boots.
Man.
Is there something
Hey,
on my
guys.
head? Are you pointing at my head?
No, I'm pointing at my head. Look at the
Oh, you got a
zit.
zit? Ooh. Visible zit morning.
I just popped it this morning.
Oh, that's cool. You know, it's funny. I've been giving you so many compliments about your physical appearance the last few pods, and
This is what I come with.
showing here looking like a real single man.
God. Jesus. That's what it was. It was the point of this exact pod.
Your role playing as a new guy with his first job moving into his first apartment.
Yes, that's what I'm doing.
I love it.
It's hard.
Your method today. It's very nice.
Exactly. Got to get in the character.
Freed, how you doing? Feeling good?
Pretty good, guys. Pretty good. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good
Hanging
morning.
out.
I'm hearing a little bit of sketchiness on the internet. So if for some reason we're cutting out, let us know in the comments, or we can obviously talk offline. This is Did You Reddit, a weekly podcast about the internet by way of Reddit, the front page of the internet. My name is It's Your Dad.
I'm dog boobs.
Bye, Frida over here. Just getting my lighting right. Look at that. Now we're
There goes
talking.
lighting right. That is actually very nice lighting. And you know, we pride ourselves on being three single men, just living alone, you know, in our respective man apartments. So
Yeah.
today,
Collecting. Yep.
just collecting old records of albums we've never heard, an acoustic guitar, a couple Neems chairs. Is that what they're called?
Eames chairs.
Eames chairs.
Yep.
So today we're going to be talking about male living spaces. So we discovered this one this past week, and it's pretty interesting actually. It is a sub entirely dedicated to it's a combination of things, but it's kind of flexing male living spaces from men in the Reddit community.
Yeah.
But it's not entirely flexing though. There's a lot of encouragement where it's like there's something very prideful about your first apartment as a guy, I guess.
Yeah.
And what you do with it. And so, you know, digging a little bit deeper into this sub, you kind of see some interesting trends, some interesting interactions with people that I think is pretty compelling. So, but before we do that, thank you for listening to our last couple episodes on docs, on Ask Docs, particularly the one, our last episode, part 2 of Ask Docs. I actually, I was editing it last night because we're posting it a little bit late because of the Thanksgiving holiday and et cetera. And it was actually quite interesting, you know, getting kind of emotional about it again. Cause I was, you know, first of all, I can barely read, as everybody knows, but you know, part of the reason I could
Kind of
barely
my
get
thing
is
on this
because-
pod is that I can't read, and now there's two of us
exactly.
that
There's
can't
two of
read.
us that can't read. But you know,
gee.
it's such a fucking beautiful story, man, and it's so yeah, it's just it's a wild it was a wild one to like re-listen to editing it, and I hope that people I hope that everybody who listens to our pod gets a chance to just go read the post and the series of posts from the Med Throwaway count, who has since passed away. Resters and Peacers. But you know, thanks for listening, and then rate, like, subscribe, you know, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also, by the way, there's a little bit of I noticed there's a little bit of like feedback. I can't tell which of you it is. It might be you, dog, from
Me?
from woman handling your microphone a lot.
Fuck. You know
So-
why? It's too far away. I'm at my desk. Let me try at my man desk. Let me try to. I'm gonna adjust my little male living space real quick while you guys continue talking.
Perfect.
Maybe we mute, or can you mute while you're?
Yeah.
Just so we don't get that crackle.
Crackle. But yeah, so thanks for listening.
Hi.
And okay, so you know, I don't know if we want to do anything about the front page. I'm kind of keen to get straight into the male living spaces. I think it's actually a pretty interesting sub that I just want to dig into. So is there anything on the front page you would like to talk about though, Freed, before I make an executive decision and move on?
No, I mean, I sent you guys this video which I saw on the front page last night, which is the 30-year anniversary of when these people blew up a whale on the beach. We
Actually let's talk about that video that you sent, because I watched it and I was just like, oh, I don't remember this happening, but the more I was watching it, the more I was like, wow, what a dumb idea. How did they do this? Why did they do this? I didn't
remember that experience. So what happened was, it was like 1976. Dog Boobs is back.
I'm back.
And a giant sperm whale or something washes up on a beach in Massachusetts, and they decide the best way to get rid of it is to blow it up with TNT and then let the seagulls take care of the rest. And so they, it's the 70s. Nobody knew anything in the 70s, and they're just like, yeah, fucking load that sucker up. And then there's like literally guys smoking cigarettes and drinking like Coors Originals, like with TNT, like maybe a couple more boxes of TNT, and then they blow the fucker up. And there's all these nice tourists in like their I don't know what the style, with the bouffants, and like there's like kids out there like science classes, and it's exactly what happens when you think it's gonna happen. Like 40,000 tons of whale guts land on all these kids and people, and it like fucks up people's cars, like almost kills people.
That was the thing I found most exciting and revealing about this whole experience, is like, not only did they not plan it great, but it seems like they handled it the same way we would handle somebody saying, we would handle this if we were single men who just got their first apartment, or
this is a very
like
single man first apartment situation.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
You can definitely try this. Hey, I got this big old rat. I'm gonna have to take care of it somehow. You should just microwave it, dude. Just microwave it.
Microwave. It'll disintegrate.
It'll disintegrate and problem solved. Moving on. Hey, you'll be on a date tonight.
I mean, and there's also, what I love about this too is this reminds me of so there was a show, it doesn't exist anymore, but there used to be a show that Andrew WK hosted.
Oh yeah.
That was called Build It Then Blow It Up or something. It had a really like extremely obvious fastball down the middle name, but the whole point is he would take kids out. He was like teaching kids how to make things. They would make shit.
Oh, cool.
And then as soon as they made it, they like blew it up. Like he put some dynamite on it and blew it up. And
destroy, build, destroy.
Yeah, destroyed, build, destroy. And it was like, it's such a funny concept, and it's very like, this is just the attitude of these people. And what I love about this, because this is also like this beautiful old, kind of like feels like you're watching a documentary about a better time in America. You know?
It looks like a better time, dude. Nobody's on their phones. This is what
nobody's on their phones. Everybody's living in the moment.
Everyone's like, well, like, what are you gonna do today? I guess I'll go watch this whale get blown up. That's what's happening, you know.
So they blow up the whale, and then you start. you start seeing all the pieces are falling. Like after they blow it up like you would expect, where everybody's like, "Whoa, this is cool! Holy shit!" And then I can just imagine the people reacting where they go, "Oh, those are falling pretty hard, dude."
And the chunks of
whoa,
pieces
that one went
that are
all the way over
falling-
there.
The chunks of pieces that are falling are pretty much the size of a human, you know, like
Yeah.
Totally.
call it
Totally.
200-pound man falling on your car
Right.
from 600 feet. Like
Made
So
out of
this is-
it's gonna
Love
fuck it up. Look at this car.
yeah, this
Yeah.
is the clip I
Crashed.
love. Is like it's essentially now has turned into like human beings falling from the sky,
yes.
like a mass suicide attempt out of a plane.
Yeah.
Right. So literally you like after you see the explosion and there's like all the nice people in the 60s or whatever, just like watching it happen. And then you look at all the cars and you just see absolute fucking carnage, destroyed vehicles left and right. And then they come in and they're like, wow, we barely got any of it. So there's a guy that comes in with a bulldozer and it's just like trying to push this rotting, exploded carcass. It's
They
just
made
the
it
most
worse.
I don't know if
pathetic.
you guys remember one of my
Beautiful
favorite movies
thing.
ever, which is also about a couple of single guys. Tremors, the first one.
Oh, I love
Oh
Tremors.
yeah, of course.
But there is a scene where they blow up their first tremor,
Mhm.
and they must have just pulled it from this news clip because it's like almost exact. It's like exact
Exactly.
one for one. But like they're all sitting there and they blow it up and they're celebrating for a little while, and then the guts start raining down from space. And it's like it's sort of like a funny scene because they won, but it's like disgusting and they kind of get messed up. But
So what is
love
the? There's got to be a reason why they chose to go that route, right? Or
I
what?
mean,
Or is
they
it literally
kind
just an illogical
They're
scenario?
kind of explaining in the video. I remember they were like, well, if we bury it, people are going to try to dig it up.
of course they will.
Obviously. And
Those teenagers smoking the weed will come
Yeah.
down here with their shovels.
yep. And they're like, and there's nowhere to really truck it off. And they're like, well, look at all these seagulls standing around waiting for it to get exploded. Like if we explode it into bite-sized pieces for the seagulls, they'll just eat every piece of blubber and it's a natural cleanup. So then after they blew it up, all the seagulls left because they were like, what the fuck?
They have sensitive hearing. I mean,
Yeah. And then like even the news guy on that clip was like, no self-respecting seagull would like eat this
I
shit
mean, let's
after.
play that out. Let's play that out as people, right? It's like you go, you know, like there's a huge like all of a sudden out of nowhere there's like a gigantic fucking calzone that drops in the middle of the world, and all of us are just like, well, it's a giant calzone. It's a little too big and it's old and I think it's dead. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's like a good calzone.
We're curious
then, like, the
about
alien-
it, but
Yeah, I'm like, it seems like it could be. I like a calzone. Don't get me wrong, but like that just seems a little too big and a little doesn't seem like the right kind of calzone for me.
yeah.
And then so the alien overlords come in and go like, all right, humans, we get it. Like, but you know, why don't we do this for you? We're gonna blow it up. We're gonna give you little tiny calzones, and then you guys can eat them, right?
is
and
that
then
the
they blow it up.
story- Is that the commercial story of how little calzones were invented?
Yeah, that's how bagel bites happened. But then they blow it up,
I
and,
love this
and
lore
nothing,
we're creating.
nothing becomes that. It's all just like loose sauce and like half destroyed pepperonis covered in sand.
Yeah.
And like
Not
none,
good
you know
eating.
what I mean? Like none of it is.
Eats, dude. I won't even bring a
That was
sandwich
funny.
to the beach for fear of some sand getting on one tomato,
Yeah.
let alone eating a calzone.
Then they expect like an entire species of bird to just gobble up sand-covered blubber that's just been
Yeah.
covered in dynamite and gunpowder. Like,
Another pitch I maybe would have had was that rat problem we're having in New York City.
yeah,
Let's get all
We
the
are
rats-
having as three New Yorkers.
Yeah,
I
is
mean,
that a couple of New
you
York-
accidentally
Hey,
made a good segue because almost every post on Male Living Spaces is about Brooklyn. So
yeah,
that will be a good segue as we're role playing.
As three single male New York Brooklynites, we're having a huge rat problem.
yeah.
So what I'm proposing is that we take all those rats, we bring them to this whale, and we let the rats take care of it. That, or maybe those pigs from one of those movies where they ate the guy. You know?
Oh my
Oh
god.
yeah, the pigs from what's Snatch from Snatch.
From Snatch,
Where,
yeah.
I've
yeah.
never seen it.
from Snatch
Oh, Snatch is
or
amazing.
the Silence of
Amazing.
the Lambs sequel.
Oh
Yeah.
yes,
Well,
yes.
either any of those pigs will do, or the rats from Brooklyn.
Mhm.
I'm just thinking seagulls don't really have teeth, dude. They sort of just eat cigarette butts. Like, let's
Yeah. Oh God.
I mean, I don't really know. I mean, I guess maybe in modern society, what would you do? You would probably get a huge crane, not a bulldozer.
fucking-
You'd have to get a huge crane, and then you'd have to probably, you'd probably just light it on fire. It's fucking fat,
No.
right? Like,
No. First, you start a subcommittee, and then you get about 45 marine biologists on the government dole to talk about it for 6 months.
Yep.
That's
there
step
we go.
one. Then
the solution.
I think ultimately you pull it out to sea because you're right near the water.
Right.
You get it in the water, you tow the fucker, a couple miles off sea, and then you let the sharks take care of sharks and the crabs. That's what they do anyway, right? Let
Right?
nature. Yeah.
Bulldoze it back into the ocean and then
But-
tugboat it out.
One
And then
guy,
blow
like
it up.
Tugboat Bob, was like, "Hey, we could tugboat this thing out," and everyone's like, "Shut up, Tugboat Bob!
Yeah.
We want to
Get
use
out
this
of here.
dynamite." Like,
I
Get out
mean,
of
that's
here.
also
Dynamite
an
ban.
option though, because it feels like a more innocent version of what happened with the militarization of local police, right? Where you give them tanks, and they go, "We got to use our tank," right?
Yeah.
So like maybe at some point someone just gave the Oregon Coast Guard a ton of dynamite, and the Oregon Coast Guard was like, "We're never gonna fucking use this. We might as well use it now."
Yeah.
Right?
What's that?
And-
What's that? A whale washed up on the beach?
Yeah.
We can use our dynamite now.
This is perfect for that dynamite we got. This is perfect. No
That's
one thought
exactly
about
what
how it
happened.
shoots the whale pieces all the way up in the sky, and there are hundreds of spectators right there on the sand dunes. I love it.
I mean, I wonder. I also like. Did anybody get hit by the blubber? Because I also the thought of somebody just getting fucking mounted, slapped in the face, or just like, because a lot of those people were like old grandmas, and then just a big hunk of fat just falls on grandma, knocks her down.
Yeah.
Pick it up.
Blubber.
Her
Yeah.
life alert doesn't work because there's no Wi-Fi in 1969. Like
Blubber got in it.
blubber got in it.
God.
I mean,
I would like
it's
to
a
do
beautiful thing.
a follow-up documentary on this that's like 11 minutes long.
Yeah.
We just find a few people now, some of those kids, and
Right.
we just get their take on it.
I think that'd be awesome. They're probably still really freaking scarred from it.
Right.
Or it's
I'm
the
pretty-
greatest thing that's ever happened in their lives.
It's true.
I want to talk to the
I'm-
dynamite guy.
I'm into the idea of I do like pointless documentaries or documentaries about things that like didn't have a lot of consequence. So like seeing a full-length documentary about this very specific whale explosion
It's
would actually be pretty fun.
my documentary is 204 minutes. You're like, what?
my
Come
God.
on, man. What could I-
Wow.
Ken Burns
I'm down.
whale explosion.
It would be like one of
I mean,
those
that's also
like serious Netflix like true crime documentaries.
totally. I mean, Ken Burns also does extremely like broad, like baseball, country music, like the whale explosion, the whale dynamite disaster of 1970,
One very
Civil
niche
War. Yeah,
Oh, so good.
I love it. But anyway, we're not here to talk about whale explosions. We're here to talk about male living spaces. So why don't we just get into it? I mean, there wasn't really anything else in the front. I mean,
let's
there's a lot of
take
stuff
that
on the front page, but I don't
We're
want
not
to
here to talk about whales. We're
No.
here to talk about males. That's
Males.
there
Look
you
at that.
go.
That's a smooth transition.
Yeah,
That's a
dude.
professional writer. That's a professional writer.
Ah,
Okay, cool. So male living spaces. So
hell
the-
yeah, dude.
I love the tag on this one too. Like when the bar says like the headline, I guess, is where males can live. That's what it says, which I think is so funny.
I like
Um,
that. Yeah, males are under attack, especially their living
Yeah, of course.
spaces, and this is a safe space for us to
I love
come
it.
together, discuss. It's great.
I mean,
It seems like it's a place where, because like historically, we all know decorating and nesting is like
Right.
traditionally a kind of feminine thing. What people
Right.
think is a feminine thing. And like this seems like a really safe place for people to be like, you don't have to be female to be taking pride in your living space. Like men come on, you guys have style too, obviously.
Right.
Like, check it
Come on,
out.
man.
And if you live alone, especially, and like, I feel like a lot of guys can, if they're like in a relationship, can oftentimes kind of like let their partner kind of take the reins and decorating their home and things like that. But like, I really like how this one is like, you don't have to if you're living alone, and you know, you can make this space really like stylish and cool too. It's easy. Like, check it out. Get a Needs chair and a snake plant.
Totally. And this is also, I mean, this fly, I mean, you know, part of what I like talking about this too, Freed, is like, Freed, you are kind of like uniquely positioned to talk about this because you made a show all about like young men who didn't know what they were doing and kind of like fed on all these stereotypes. And because there's a stereotype that is true, but also is a dangerous stereotype about men and their inability to like become adults or do adult things in the appropriate time that you would require. So, you know, I think what you're right, dog, where there's like a lot of like, you know, I think young women, it's almost like handwriting, I guess would be a funny way. Like, girls have good handwriting. I've met like one girl in my life that doesn't have at least some semblance of clear handwriting.
Right.
She's questionable. Yeah.
Like 3 guys who have good handwriting. Right. It's just is a weird thing that I don't understand. Nobody understands why. It just is the way it is. And I feel like,
how's your handwriting, dog? I would imagine impeccable.
So good. It's gotten really not as good.
It's gotten worse lately, right? Because you
know, especially when you like become an adult and you realize you're like typing more than you're writing on things anymore, it becomes a little worse. But yeah, my handwriting in like middle school and high school was like big bubbly R's.
Hell yeah.
You know, like the big, like a Disney circle for the dot on my eye.
Oh, of course. But I don't know why that is. And it's a funny,
and I would have days where I would be like, I'm going to change up my T's.
Right.
My handwriting was superb. Just to throw some salt in your face, Dad.
Really?
Oh, yes. I took a lot of pride in it. It was something I liked doing.
Love that.
I was into it. Like, I liked my notes looking cool. But I've lost it. Like, I've tried recently and I'm like, I don't do it enough anymore. And it's like kind of just, it's not good.
Shit.
I struggle.
Practice makes practice.
It does. Well, because I went to Catholic school and they would make you write on these line paper. I don't know if you remember those. Remember the line paper? What's it called? Like it was like each line.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Had like a separation in the middle, so you got your lowercase cursive like perfectly. And so we had to learn that. And once I kind of learned it, I was like, oh, this is actually very cool looking, and it was fun. And then kids started beating me up, and I had to do it in hiding, underground. You know.
They meet up have really shitty handwriting as like your public base.
That's right.
You're in the closet as a.
I would write with my left hand instead in public, and then on the big competition day, I would switch to my right, and people would go, "Oh dear, he can't."
Look at him with his feminine writing.
So my handwriting was absolute trash. Still is. I write like a doctor, and every time I've ever tried. Let's put it this way. I write like I read, which means I can't. So yeah. So
like a doctor or a guy who like pours cement for a living. I like when people say doctor because it sounds nice, but also a guy who picks up Porto Johns all day long.
Yeah. I mean, I also don't. It's very strange. I've noticed this about the way I write now, and maybe it is a byproduct of typing, and that's kind of the only means of communication we have. But I notice this when I read out loud too, where I tend to skip words. Like it's not dyslexia, but I like blast ahead really quickly. So I'll be like writing something, and then I'll like write the letter that doesn't come for 3 or 4 letters.
Me too.
And then I have, it's very odd. I don't know how it started happening, but anyway. But the reason I bring that up, and I'm not trying to make a
handwriting sub.
Yeah, I'm not trying to make a handwriting sub. I'm not trying to make a commentary about biological gender or this is not a sexism thing. This is the stereotypes around what men do with their own organizational systems and how much they care about making things look nice. It's just an anomalous thing that for some reason the stereotypes do not favor males in this capacity. And then because of that, I think that is what this sub is kind of pushing against, right? It's
Yeah.
really encouraging. This is not about like men being like, hey, dude, check out my video game lair. And it's just like Doritos and fucking, you know, like, you know, dirty laundry and shit. Like it's actually the exact opposite. It's like, hey, I just got my first job. I just got my first apartment. What do you guys think? It's not much, but I feel like I'm coming a long way. For men to kind of keep organized. I mean, it almost feels like there's actually one funny post. It's not funny, but it was like an interesting emblematic example of this, where there was a post of somebody who was like recently out of a bad relationship or a marriage or something. I'll try to find it, but it was like all of it was kind of the stereotypes of a male living space, and then Joe Rogan was playing in the screen, and I was just like, "Oh yeah, okay, I guess that's what this is." Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, but it's really encouraging. Yeah, so here it is. So it's 7 months after the girlfriend and I split. New apartment, new life, same dog, and it's just like, you know, there's like a nice bit of plants and there's some nice shelving or whatever, and then Joe Rogan's playing on his computer. This feels like kind of like a Jordan Peterson like 12 rules of living kind of thing, where it's like you have to clean your room, and then they're like, yeah, if I clean my room, then I can dominate the corporate ladder, you know.
This is great.
I know it was really funny, but you know, that said, again, it's a little bit of a self-help kind of idea here, right? For men specifically. So anyway, so let's get into the very specifics about this sub. Dog, do you want to read the sidebar?
I do. So male living space is dedicated to places where men can live. Here, because other places
where men can live is so funny.
Here you can find posts discussing, showing, improving, and maintaining apartments, homes, domiciles, man caves, garages, and bungalows. There you go. Pretty much covers everything. There are 646,000.
If you live in a basement, fuck off.
Fuck right off. And the pretty much like the flair here, this is very telling, is like the flair that you can filter by are first time, college, very cool, professional, question, furniture, advice, and update. Probably from someone who's asked for advice or questions and wanted to show off, like, check out, you guys, I listened to your advice and check out my new place. So this is like really cool, and clearly it looks like from the flair and from the posts we've seen, it's like a really welcoming, safe place for people to, you know, ask for advice or get inspiration or show off their space and not be like made fun of or treated like weird for, I don't know, decorating, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you come here. Like, this is, I mean, I have not seen, and I could be wrong again, this is a cursory glance at this sub. But I haven't seen any like really derisive, mean-spirited shit. Like, I'm not seeing like trolls that are like, I'm not seeing like women trolls coming in and fucking philandering men's choice of houseplants. Like, it's not my vibe, because I think this is the other thing about this is like, I think everybody wants this. I don't think the men who are sloppy, it's not a matter of them being like, I prefer the sloppy lifestyle. I think it's like they don't have it in them. It's kind of a little bit like, this is like, you know, the leveling up of the life of a man, I guess, for lack of a better term. So, you know, I don't think there's a lot of room for people to be like, oh, you fucking nerd with your Eames chair and your like beautifully organized shelf. Fucking loser. Like, it just doesn't happen. So I think it's very positive, but I think it's also, again, it is also spelling out some fascinating parts of the evolution of a guy, but also some of the way that men, I think about what you're supposed to do with a room. Some of the trends, I found a starter pack here that I thought was kind of interesting, because it was like, there's some weird things where I'm just like, why is that in every one of these fucking apartments?
Dude, right? Do you want to put up the starter pack?
Yeah, let me throw up the starter pack.
I can pull that one up.
So let's break down the pieces in this starter pack, because this is not only, so in Freed, I think maybe you want to contribute to this. Like some of these I really relate to as like, yeah, that sounds awesome. And some of them I'm just like, I don't understand why guys are into that shit. I don't get it. Right. So like the Eames chair is a good example. The Eames chair, it feels to me like it is a relic. I love it. I would love an Eames chair. They're fucking expensive.
Yeah.
That is an Eames chair, right?
It's like one of the Eames chairs.
It's like the quintessential kind of like Eames chair.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where you go like what is that really the best chair, or is that like a flex? And it feels like it's
totally.
it's like getting a Rolex or something where you like why,
Yeah, you could get a Rolex or a Timex,
Yep.
Exactly.
They both tell time. The chair, I mean, it looks nice in a room, I guess. Arguably there's like a style element to it, so it's kind of, they call it a piece.
Totally.
Right.
Nice piece, people say
nice
in this industry, not derogatory towards ladies' batoons. But people say that's a nice piece. Yeah. I guess if you were to sit there and like read the stocks or read your book, it's like what it's sort of designed for, maybe tune your axe.
Yeah.
But yeah, it actually doesn't look that comfortable. Like I'd rather lounge on the couch in my jams.
Yeah.
Well, this is and this is the other thing that's interesting about this, because I don't know what your guys' dads were like, but I know that like where I'm from and my dad and kind of like
never
the
met
stereotype
him.
of I never met him, but like grandpas and dads, like they don't have Eames chairs, they have fucking lazy boys with cup holders and you know what I mean, like these things where you're just like it's not about having that. So what is interesting about the Eames chair in particular is it feels to me like it's meant to be a sign of success.
Yeah.
And like kind of the business, because the Eames chair is kind of one of those things where like you walk into the manager's office, you walk into the CEO's office because he had a meeting with you, and he goes, like, hey Jeff, hey, good to see you. Sit down for a second. And he's like sitting there reading the Wall Street Journal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's got like his glasses on the tip of his nose. He's reading the Wall Street Journal. He's sitting in his Eames. He's got a pager. That's kind of what this is.
Yeah. There's a lot of signs.
Very Patrick Bateman.
Here. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it's a status symbol a little bit, and like it's like a sign. It's an aspirational piece.
Right.
And I wonder what they're like, because I've never actually sat on one. It looks like a bit of a marshmallow seat, which seems like it'd be nice on the butt, when
I'll say this.
In
today's fashion age of leisure wear, I feel like the clothing has gotten so slick that you just slip right off that sucker and you'd be on the ground in about 2 seconds.
That's not untrue. You might slip right off that thing.
Because in the old days, everyone was wearing polyester or denim, something with a little traction, and that thing just weed. What?
Yeah,
tweed.
I wonder too if
tweed. Yeah, tweed.
I wonder if Eames chairs became more popular since Mad Men too, because they're definitely you kind of see in the bottom left corner the Google search for mid-century modern, and you see that a lot on this sub. A lot of guys are emulating that style.
Yeah, and I think that is the golden era of capitalism in New York in particular, and I think that's part of what this is about, right? It's like when you're this sub is part of what makes it interesting to me personally, is like there isn't much variation, like you see a couple, and like even the ones that you see that are like really nice but are a little different, they will call themselves out. They'll be like, hey, I don't know if people here are into this, but which is interesting, because I think that
I got a bean bag. Yeah,
I mean pretty much,
a lot of bean bags on here.
I'll try to find. I pulled out a couple.
One more thing on this Ames before we move. I think the comfort of that is it's more mature than a soft pillowy couch. And I think part of being a mature male is not needing to snuggle on the couch. It's not needing to. You're not hungover all day anymore. You're not vegging out and watching TV for 5-6 hours. You sit down for a few minutes, but most of the time you're on the move. You're working. You're not a man of laziness.
Yeah.
And so exactly. And this is kind of like a sign of your your maturity to say, hey, I'll sit, but only for a few minutes because
you're
You know what I
right.
mean? Like it's
No one's
not.
gonna
Got stuff
fall
to
asleep in their
do.
English
Yeah.
chair, you know?
You cannot
Totally.
be on that thing and all day hungover like you were in college. You know,
Yeah.
it's not that.
It's true. It's like outfitting your home for a different function now that you're a grown up, you know?
To be like
Exactly.
very effective. And the same goes for the bar, the mini bar. I was looking at the picture.
Totally.
Like having a mini bar in college would have been unheard of. Your friends would have drank everything in one night.
Yeah.
In as an adult male, you can say like, yeah, I got a whole bottle of whiskey, and guess what? I'll probably have it for 6 months.
Yep.
You're like,
That's
whoa,
so
Totally.
true. And I don't feel the need to like
pour it
completely
down.
drink the whole thing right now.
That's right. Pour it down
Yeah.
my pants.
Well, it's also they're nice liquor, right? I mean, that's the thing too. Is you look at
Yeah.
that, and I mean, the other thing I was thinking too is, you know, most of these apartments are about single men, right? So there's a little bit of an undercurrent of like, how do I impress the ladies in the
Mhm.
best way possible?
Right.
Now, it doesn't exclusively mean that. I mean, I think that there's like that's you guys bring up really interesting points because I think as a male and as a 33-ish year old male who like has been living with my girlfriend for a decade basically,
Mhm.
like a lot of the things that I get comfort in, I'm like, give me a PlayStation, give me a couch. I just need a fucking place to chill when
you're-
I'm ready to chill, you know?
You're a married man. It's different. That's like a different
Exactly.
subsection
Totally.
of male living. you know?
Yeah.
Exactly, but that's kind of the
Yeah.
point. Is like
Yes,
that's
yeah,
what's interesting
it's
about
true.
this is about men who are probably not married, and if they are, you do see some of those here, right? Like there's a couple. There's one of the most popular ones this past week was of I think it was somebody's dad redoing their bathroom, and you
Yeah.
kind of see all these weird little bits of like, you know, like man caveness in the bathroom, and that's kind of what a man cave is. Like when you look at a man cave, you're not gonna find Eames chairs in a man cave, right?
Totally.
Like you're gonna see a fucking couch in front of a TV, like that's surrounded by power tools, right?
Mhm.
And you know, like a fucking drum set, right? It's a place where you're just like, don't bother me. I'm just being I'm being an 8-year-old boy in here, right? But you know,
This
are you
is
looking at the
really
dad?
funny. I'm looking
Yeah.
at the dad's bathroom thing, and I can share the screen if I can get my shit together. But the top comment on it is really funny. So it's adorable. Let's see.
Yeah, so this is him. So he redid his bathroom, and he just like looks like a dad, right? He's probably in
Yeah.
his like early 50s, late 40s.
Beautiful.
That guy does not. That guy's never worn moisturizer
Yeah.
on his face. You know.
Wow. The internet's rough, but you see his dad's spa here.
Right. So he
iPad.
has. I'm gonna explain this. He has a cup holder. He has some fancy soap. He has a TV for watching sports
Yeah.
in the shower.
He's got his iPad with a waterproof like cover in the shower. He's got like a really fun smelling shower thing that he's
Right.
proud of that he just had his son smell.
It's not
He's
a
got
bad
bench.
bench, a shower bench.
Oh,
Shower bench is
love.
crucial.
He's got some Jack Black energy, and I love it.
He does
It's
have Jack Black
That's a
energy.
cool dad, dude. I got to give it to him.
Yep. Oh,
Oh,
the toilet.
so he has a black light in his toilet.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I gotta
Oh,
look
what's
into
this
that.
remote do? Oh, he even
Wow.
got like rave lights. Oh
He's-
my god.
Why does he have so many fluorescent lights? So
He wants
strange.
to like
I don't
take
understand.
nighttime rainbow showers.
You know what?
I
This
mean,
guy must be an
Not
electrician
wrong.
because he looks like an electrician, first of all, and second of all, like the colored LED lights in the electrical world have gotten popular in the last couple of years, and they're like
That's
definitely
true.
cheap. I bet that guy's like, hey, let's fucking LED this sucker out, put him everywhere, and he's not wrong. It looks pretty dope.
Dude, this comment made me remember what we were when we did the TV Too High episode.
So
Oh yeah, TV
iPad
too high,
too
dude. iPad too high.
iPad too high.
That's something I thought of when we were, for anyone listening who hasn't listened to that episode, go back and listen. We did an episode for this subreddit called TV Too High, and it's about, you know, interior design snobs who are like,
Very simple.
your TV is too high on the wall.
It's quietly one of the greatest subs of all time.
It really is.
every time you look at a picture, you go, "That fucking TV is too high."
Way too high.
And some of them were like cartoonishly high though, where they were like put like above the Christmas tree. They had served no practical purpose. So funny. But this is the room that I was mentioning earlier that is kind of an emblematic of the diversity here, which I think is kind of interesting. Where it's my first apartment at 23 might not be for everyone, but it's mine. And this is like flies in the face of everything we were talking about earlier, right? There's no Eames. It's literally like this person is like, I want to feel like the place I love can. I mean, this person probably gets high and like wants to just have a place they can get high comfortably. But you know, it's actually fucking beautiful. Yeah, it's like a very everything is purple lit. They're watching anime. You see like a little white tree. It's just like a very. It's a very there is actually a weed flower I saw.
Yeah, the leaves everywhere. I think that's like so cool that this kid like realized he could move into a place and just be as creative as he wanted and just make it what he wanted.
Yeah, this is not a traditional dude pad.
Yeah.
It's kind of
not a traditional dude pad, but that's what's so fucking wild about this place is the fact that there is a traditional dude pad.
There definitely
like,
is.
I again don't relate to this. And Freed, I don't know how you.
I'm into it. Definitely. I mean,
I know you are for sure.
I do enjoy like aesthetics and design, and it's like as a hobby, I like building. I like the way things look. I like looking at a space and being like, oh, this looks nice, or it doesn't work. I do enjoy that, but I can't. And to be honest, like when I was like 10 years old, my childhood room looked like a 30-year-old's bachelor's room. Like I had it. I've always been very clean and organized, and like I made my bed every day. Nice. Just like as a kid, everything was like put away. And my dad owned restaurants, or one restaurant when I was a kid, and they got given like fluorescent bar lights. You know, like the alcohol companies would like give them to the restaurant, and they'd like sit around, and I'd be like, "Dad, can I have this?" And he'd be like, "Yeah, I don't care." And so at a certain point, I had like a Bud Light fluorescent light in my room. I was like 12, and you'd pull it on, and it had this like beautiful fluorescent glow that kind of looked like that kid's room. Yeah. And I would just have that on at night, and like I was maybe 11, 12, like way too young to be drinking.
For a Bud Light beer light.
Yes, and it kind of looked like amazing in the room, and I would like sit there and like look at like comic books and be like, I really have made it, haven't I? And that I might have peaked that year, you know. And this is like I'm as single as it gets because I haven't gone through puberty. But I just thought it was like the coolest. And then I also made my parents get me for a desk. I was like, here's the desk I want. I want an artistic drafting table, like an architectural drafting table. That's like what I got when I was 12. So it looked like I was like a 31-year-old single architect who loved a martini, but I was 12. Like that's so how my room looked.
That's great.
In 1994, whatever.
If you could have had an Eames chair, you probably would have.
I would have loved it. Yeah, I would have loved it.
That's great.
So my room looked like CBGB's. Like I literally I wish I had a photo of it. I mean, I've always, and this is, so when I see all these too, I think a lot about, because I've never actually lived alone ever in my life, which is bizarre. Yeah. And it's only on accident. I mean, it's been one of those things where I like have always I've always wanted to save money. Mm-hmm. So I've always been like, I'll get a roommate. I don't have a problem with that. I'm not like the kind of person who ever needed that. And then like once my girlfriend and I started dating and we started living together, I was like 25.
Yeah.
So it was like kind of didn't matter at that point. But I think about this a lot because I think when I was a kid, my room was like I got every poster that I found and like I would take out clippings from magazines, and I like made a wall entirely of posters and clip, and I like literally had everything from like Altoids ads to like it was crazy. It was fucking wild. And
were you interested about the photo? Was it specifically because you work in advertising now, but it wasn't
Yeah.
advertising. It was just like the models, like the tone it created.
Well, it
or
wasn't,
were
but
you
it
trying to
wasn't.
make
It
a
was it was
collage?
tone because it wasn't. It definitely. I was not the kind of person who like put up photos of like pretty women. Like it was like
Woo!
yeah, woo, pretty women,
American
fucking pervs on here. No, but it was like it was just. I think I liked the like composition of all of these different things that were all kind of simultaneously living together. Like I liked the organized chaos. Like it wasn't like I put up like I everything I put up like really symmetrical. You know what I mean? Like everything was put up perfectly, but in the symmetry there was like chaos, And
That's so cool.
yeah, and I did the same thing in college. I actually did a much more fucking manic and like homicidal thing in college, which is like which was crazy. But my best friend
With only
in
pictures of
college
the
and
little
I,
missing
yes,
kid.
exactly. It's
All
only,
the
it's only
milk carton kids
exactly.
just on the wall. Just like
I was a
and then
detective in
and
college.
then your roommate is just like some nice kid from South Dakota who's like,
Like, this is
No,
weird.
no, we our senior year we rented a house.
Can we separate the room with tape, please, sir? This is a little bit.
We rented a house, and then the first day we moved in, it was me and this other guy. We went to Home Depot or something, grabbed as much spray paint as we could, got super fucking high, put on Radiohead, and just painted our rooms. Just literally like spray painted whatever the fuck we wanted, like graffitied our rooms, and then it was like that for the rest of the year.
Oh my god.
So it was like it was a fucking crack dungeon.
But
we were like
this is when you
extremely
lived
clean kids, but
this is when a homeless guy moved in your basement too.
No, that was later.
Dude,
that's a different story. Wait, before we go down that tangent wormhole,
I don't know about that
because I really want to hear
explain. Oh my god! All right, so
you've explained it on this pod.
Have I explained this? So
I think in one of the first 3 episodes we talked about this crackhead lived in your basement.
I had a so when I lived in Boulder, Colorado. I mean, this is a good male living space thing. Actually, it's a good story for that because I would lived with 2 other dudes and it was just like it was like a bad living situation. But I was like, I'm too busy. Just leave me alone. I don't care, right?
And jogging my memory.
Yeah, and one of them was like he tried to join the military and couldn't for some reason. So he decided to become a truck driver, and he would do all these weird odd jobs. And I didn't know either of these people. They were Craigslist people. So like this guy would do all these odd jobs. And one day he borrowed the other roommate's car to haul dirt inside the car. It was like one of the most fucking.
Just to be clear, this is not a truck. This is like a 4-door van.
Yeah, exactly. And
what? Who the fuck does this?
Insane shit like that. So anyway, so he would he either got kicked out or moved. I don't remember what happened, but we were like, cool, you got to find us a new roommate, or at least help, right?
Yeah,
because we gotta pay this rent. So he did that, and one guy he was like, all right, there's a guy that I'm coming. He's gonna check it out. He came and he just like moved in directly, and we were like, "Oh shit, okay, miscommunication. Like we hadn't met you. We wanted to meet you first." And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And then like he started over the course of the day revealing very strange shit about himself. Like he had told us like he had like I don't know if it was like I had just gotten out, but it was like he had been in prison for Grand Theft Auto, I believe, or something. In Chicago, he was a lawyer, and then he got a coke addiction. So he went to prison, got out, and then we were like, "Hey, man, I'm so sorry. You gotta go. We gotta, And he was, and then he had in jest had sent me a note because I think we had said like, "Hey, man, I'm sorry. Like we kind of needed whatever," and he's like, "I'm also a terrorist," because we were just like. Because you could tell we were sketched out by him.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer in retrospect. We were kind of like, damn, like, what the fuck did you give us this guy? But anyway, the reason I'm talking about this is because when I told him to leave, I was like, hey, man, you got to go. We got to find somebody else, whatever. he was like, all right, man, but I know this has put you guys in a weird situation, but can I like stay in the basement for like a week while I figure out a new place? I was like, yeah, that's fine. Right. I was working a lot. Week goes by. He's still down there. I'm like, I don't want to deal with this right now. But it was like, there was like a mattress on the ground, it was like, it wasn't like a living space. It was like actually the exact opposite of that. It was like clearly a bad scenario.
Yeah.
And then like, I go down there one day and then there's like curtains up now. And then I go down there one day to do my laundry. And then like, there was like,
chair.
Yeah, there was like more shit in there. There's like maybe a TV. And then one day I went down there and there was a fucking woman and there was a dog and there was a guy and there was like a whole, there was like a family who had nested in my basement where we do our laundry. And at this point too, by the way, the other guy who had replaced him had already moved in.
Oh my God.
So I was just like, okay, what do I do here? So Stafford, don't go downstairs. You stay up here. I'll explain later. And I went down there one day and I was like, hey man, listen, you gotta go. I'm sorry, you gotta go. Right. And then the next day it was all gone. None of it was ever there. It had never been there. And I was just like, because when I went in there and I saw the woman too, the woman was like, at the time, I wrote an article about it for an old magazine called, I don't remember what it was called, Thought Catalog or something. And I had written about it, and like, I don't remember, I was rereading some of my Vice articles the other day, and I was like, damn, I was kind of a fucking dickhead, man. I was like really not like politically correct. Like I was like kind of like classist where I would say these stupid things and I remember, but I do remember this where I was
everybody did blackface like a few years
everybody
ago.
did blackface. But I remember seeing her, and I just remember this was like before face tattoos were cool. But I remember her either having face tattoos or having something where I was just like, oh no, this is not the life I want to live right now. So it was definitely like an ex-con had moved into our house, and none of us me and this other guy were too passive. We were just pacifists. So we were just like,
which is ironic because you're
basement,
spray painting your walls and you're fucking cutting out lost milk carton kids.
You're young. You don't really, it's like, since when have you had to like deal with something like that and tell like a squatter to move his family?
I know a squatter moves his family into our basement.
That sounds like the guy who lives down the street from us now in what he's basically built a 2x4 shack, and it's got 2 floors. I wouldn't call him homeless because it's a house. He's got like a crow's nest and a little penthouse.
Are you serious?
That's an
dude.
tiny house.
I'll send you guys a picture.
He's built an apartment. He's built a modern high-rise apartment.
And now the neighbors are calling building and safety on him because they're like annoyed and they're trying to get him.
Dude, they're jealous.
Well, because he's not paying property tax,
Totally jealous.
And they're like, fuck this guy.
Anyway, so that's the story of the homeless man who moved into my basement. But cool. So let's go through some of the top posts.
Hold on. Okay, but we also, I don't want to like not talk about Dog Boobs' like early living spaces because I just have a hunch there's some good nuggets in there.
Oh my god!
But she's a lady. She's fucking perfect. Everything is
today,
organized.
Not today. She's a dude.
All men.
Today she's man days.
Yeah. I mean, well, I've never lived alone either, but I remember.
It's kind of weird, right?
Yeah.
I remember as like a person, like an adult, kind of that day when you look around your room and you're like, I want it to look nice.
Yeah. Totally.
That's pretty much, but then I see,
are you into it, Dog Boobs? Like sheets, plants, side tables, and you seem like pretty clean over there.
Oh yeah. Like, I mean, well, okay, here's the thing.
Should host a dinner party. Invite us over.
Shit is really messy in my room right now. I've been at my mom's for a couple months, so please don't judge my interior style based on what's behind me right now.
Are you going to show us a Sims rendering right now? Cut 2 Sims rendering.
this is what it really looks like. And it's like a Sims penthouse.
You have a floating hot tub.
But dude, that is like the only, I'm like okay with never owning a home as long as I can have like a gaming PC with my Sims game. Because it's like,
That's cool.
it's
Crucial. Love it.
amazing.
I mean, well, that's so you bring up a good point though, which is, because I've done the same thing where because I've never lived alone, I think sometimes I'm like, well, what would my situation be?
Mhm.
And I think that kind of gets back to the sub where I kind of go, I don't relate to a lot of this. I understand the intention of it though, right? Which is like cleanliness and order and organization, right? And a lot of the people here, so I'm going through the top posts of all time now, kind of looking at some of the energy, and you're seeing a lot of like, the top post of all time, and I don't know why. I think maybe this is just like a hell yes situation, but 18, left the college dorm room to get my own pad, first in my family to live on their own. All that's left is to decorate. So this is like a first person doing it. So maybe that's part of it. But, most of the top posts are like, I moved in, like, this is actually fucking rad. This is, I moved into an old squash court. So this is literally an old squash court that was converted, which is fucking cool. But there is a trend, right? Which is like there are a lot of studio apartments, right?
Yeah.
Like these are people who are, not necessarily new, but like, living like this is a studio apartment in Chicago and it's him and his dog. And it's just like, looking at this, like you see a lot of the same trends. You see a plant, you see brick, a lot of exposed brick.
A lot of fuck pads is what we used to call them back in.
But kind of, I mean, that's what's so interesting about this is like,
they're like single bachelor pads. They're bachelor pads. Like, they're industrial. They're slightly masculine. There's like a lot of wood and like exposed brick like that. And like, this used to be an old factory that GM used to make the Corvair on. You're like, cool. It's fucking cold in here. Did you have a heater? It's like, nah, man. We just nah, dude. Put on 2 pairs of socks. It's like a lot of that going on, right? Which is cool. I'm into it.
Yeah, and this is actually from a woman, which is kind of interesting. I'm so grateful I have a stylish boyfriend. So, you also do see things like this. Was that?
Or from a gay couple.
Or from a gay couple, yes, that's true. But this is interesting in the sense that, again, there's like you're still seeing the same trends, which is like houseplants are a big fucking thing, Yeah. And the couple things that I'm seeing in this that I'm so surprised that there's not more of that is I'm not seeing any taxidermy. And I don't mean gross taxidermy. I'm not really seeing any like, mounted ox skulls and shit like that,
I have a theory why.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm also like, I'm not seeing like a diversity in the plants, right? Yeah, that's tight.
A lot of those dumb figgy leaves.
Yeah, you're seeing a lot of just like easy to maintain plants versus like bonsai trees and shit.
Oh yeah. I feel like too, this place, like there are other subreddits like room porn and things like that like obviously like there are brilliant male architects and interior designers. Like this is not like a subreddit for those kinds of like guys. It seems like it's really mainly for guys that haven't tried to have their own living space before now, or like had a nice living space till now, either because they're young or because like the guy whose dad made his dad's spa like maybe didn't have his own space to like decorate or do his own thing in. And so like a lot of the things that look similar are kind of like lower cost things I'm noticing, like the furniture, not the Eames chairs, but I'm sure a lot of them are replications.
Yeah.
You're noticing like a lot of IKEA furniture, and it's like
they're lower cost, and I think the lack of creativity is also for that reason.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's like it's clean, it's stylish and it looks nice. It's like tried and true. And it's like when you don't know what your style is yet and you go for something that you see and looks nice and you're like, well, that looks nice. I want to do that. And then you kind of, I'm sure in 10 years, it's going to look totally different. But I like that they, go after like something that looks nice. That's what we all do.
I mean, it also feels like there's not a lot. Hannibal Lecter said, I mean, there's also, well, when you're thinking about, Patrick Bateman, Hannibal Lecter. I mean, quite frankly, like that's a little bit of the people here too. I'm not saying that the men that are doing this are serial killers and fucking homicidal maniacs, but like that, like the Bateman one in particular is interesting because a lot of these people are young professionals. That's like clearly the slant, and so there is a lot of like climbing the corporate ladder energy. Every once in a while you'll see a lot of personality. Like there's a couple that I've seen, like there's a, you know, instead of it being like generic guitar, there's like a skateboard covered in stickers, right? But you know, it is a, like, how do you get the template in the same way that it's like I just bought my first suit, right?
Yeah.
Where it's just like, okay, I got the template, I did the template, and then you kind of go, well, where do you go from here, man? What do you want to do with it? You go, I want 2 different colors of bed sheets. Be like, okay, that's a start. Like,
don't do it, man. Don't do it. Oh, and then someone says, hey, instead of black sheets, why don't you get white sheets? You're like, are you serious, bro? I'm going to shit on those. And everyone's like, no. Here's the deal. When you're an adult, you don't shit your bed anymore.
You don't shit your bed anymore. And if you do, you clean them.
And you clean them like once a week. And you're like, what? Once a week?
No.
Are you fucking out of your mind?
Do you want to know?
Like, yeah. You use bleach too.
Do you want to know a disgusting dog boobs tidbit?
Yes.
Ooh, love it.
Can't wait. Think of. Sorry to disappoint. It's not about shitting the bed.
Dating with dog boobs.
When I went to college freshman year, I didn't realize that I was supposed to clean my sheets. And I didn't wash them all year. And when I took my bed apart on the last day to pack my things, a cloud of dust came apart. And at the bottom, just sock lint, dust, hair. I was literally like, and my mom was there helping me move out, and she was like, Aaron. And I'm like, I didn't know.
What do you mean you're supposed to wash your shit?
I didn't realize that sheet.
And that's so funny because I think we all probably did that the first year.
You just don't realize everything.
And then now, how nice is it to wash your sheets and put them on and get in a freshly washed sheet bed? You're like, ooh, this is worth it. Yeah.
It's like crisp.
I mean, but it is a funny, I mean, you think about the blind spots that you have, you know, because even again, like the plants are an interesting one where like how many fucking plants have died in this templated process? Like the amount of men who will get a plant and be like, I got the plant. And then they go, you're supposed to water it like, you know, like every like couple weeks, right?
Yeah.
And then some people will water it twice a day and they kill it immediately. And some people will be like, fuck, I forgot to water it entirely. You know, and so there's all these little things that are about this, you know, this template is really interesting because I know I also have that where there's a lot of like, I've actually gotten a lot more like this as of recent where like my girlfriend is actually extremely messy. She's like a hoarder.
Yeah.
And it infuriates me. And so I'm constantly cleaning shit up as a means of trying to create some vague sense of order.
Yeah.
That is like, even if it's not like clean, it is a sense of order that I can go, I know what that is. I know what that is. I know where that is. I know where that is. Right.
Yeah.
And like everything is symmetry for me. Like that's like my theme. Like even just like looking at the space I have right now, it's like I've got a lot of clutter, but like it's all funneled into the same direction. And it's like, you know, there's like a, you know, everything is just designed to be on the same general energy kind of,
so it doesn't feel like it's like just a complete chaos mess.
Totally. But I need a little bit though. I mean, that's the thing is like, I don't do well. I mean, there's actually, I don't remember who said it, but there's a famous writer who said the best place to write is staring out a window that is on a brick wall. So you're not seeing a park because you're distracted by the park, but you have the window to remind you that the world is out there.
Yeah.
So it like spurs the imagination. So I think that's kind of a little bit of the way I think about things like this too, where I'm like, I don't want total order because then I'm bored or then it's a little bit too organized for me. But I want enough order to where I can be like, all right, there's a salt lamp there, there's 3 skulls there, there's 3 bones there. there's a skull there, there's a candle there. You know what I mean? Like that's everything feels like it's the numbers are right and all these different pieces. So yeah. So I mean, and looking at going back to the sub, I think looking at some of the other trends here. I mean, there's some. You know, I have this image pulled up because I just think this is like the craziest apartment I've ever seen, and this is clearly like
this to
me represents the ambition. Well, it doesn't seem real, and
this
it
is
feels
like from the digest, or
but
I just call it the digest.
The
Like when you,
Yeah,
I have a couple
I've dropped
friends.
architectural.
I have a couple friends that have places like this, and they seem so fucking impersonal, right?
Yeah.
That like
You're like, where do I flop out and scratch my nards? Like, there's no nard scratching zone here at all, which is kind of
none.
lame. And like, there's nowhere to flop. There's nowhere to Dorito down. There's like none of it.
The only
there's no like joy.
Look really cool is downtown LA. I had a couple friends who lived in a place kind of like that, and they both worked in set styling and like set decor, so they got to take home like weird props from movies and shows all the time. So they had like the weirdest stuff everywhere. So it was like definitely not like a normal apartment you'd like. I wouldn't necessarily be like, I want to live there, but it was so different that it was really pretty cool.
Yeah. And this is another one. I have this image pulled up for anybody who's just listening and not watching this on YouTube or Twitch, which you should. But this is one. It's called My Summer Sublease in Chicago. And this is the other trend I've noticed is a lot of these people are urban dwellers. Right?
Yes, this is what I was going to say based on your taxidermy comment earlier.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about the taxidermy is like you don't see a lot of that, but like there's
taxidermy
like a lot
bros,
of the people.
Yeah, they own their house. They probably are married and they like live in the woods and they don't use Reddit and totally. they there's a lot of dudes with taxidermy. They're just not on here.
Totally. But you know, this is like another very, very impersonal. But the thing that I look at this, and I'm sure a lot of people would look at this, and it's literally just a bed, a chair, a desk. But I just go, fuck, that feels so lonely. And the reason you look at it and you go, that's so lonely, is like you are just staring at everybody else's apartment exactly like yours.
Yeah.
It's this beautiful open window. There's so many windows, but you just are looking at a city filled with other apartments of people that are just in the churn of a city. Yeah. And I go, fuck me, man. And you know, and I think that's also part of the attempt at a lot of these buildings is like taking like the fact that they live in Brooklyn or the fact that they live in, you know, in Chicago or whatever, and trying to make it feel a little bit more comfortable because you know that you have to live in a city and convey a lifestyle city liver, you know, like here's another one, like first time moved to New York City and set up my first living room. The view from the window is incredible.
Like that's
and you know,
cool.
Like this is really nice, but it's also you're looking out over a city of people that are doing the same thing. And part of that can be really empowering, but part of that you're just like, oh
Kinda
man,
weird.
like, yeah, I feel like, am I like supposed to feel excited? You know, so it's interesting. I mean, this is a young person's place. You know,
that's a nice view.
This is fucking crazy. This is a view of just over the seafront. This person's
where is
loaded. I don't know. It says our living room on the seafront.
Looks like Europe. Oh, definitely got
like
soccer on.
Monaco.
Looks like Monaco.
Yeah.
Watch out. That makes me nervous for tsunamis.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, true.
What are you more afraid of, tsunamis or sinkholes?
Oh.
Ooh. I mean, tsunami, visually, a tsunami sounds like the most truly the most horrific thing you can think of, right?
Yeah.
Like the fact that you just be like chilling and all of a sudden you see a wave that's like, you know, 150 feet high.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, actually, have you guys watched the latest Unsolved Mysteries?
No.
Oh, on Netflix? I watched a few of them. They were I don't know. There might be a sleeper in there I missed or something.
You gotta watch the tsunami one about the Japanese tsunami and the ghosts from the tsunami. It is fucking so goddamn sad. It's so sad.
Oh, fuck.
But it's like honestly, my girlfriend and I watched it, and I like had a similar sensation to the finale of Nathan For You, where I was just like, that's an epic achievement in television. Like that is truly like one of the best TV episodes I've ever seen of anything.
Dude, I gotta see this.
It's fucking
Tsunami.
crazy.
Scary.
But anyway, so I know we don't have a ton of time left. Is there anything else we want to discuss as it pertains to this sub? I know that, I mean, we've kind of, we're going in a few different directions with this, but I think a lot of the themes, again, we're seeing is there's a template, there's an attempt to, there's a bachelor pad energy, but it's also, how do I live in a city with a sense of progress as a person who is forced to live here, which I think is kind of interesting.
Yeah. Definitely city-based. Most of these photos. You don't see much country or anything out there. As it pertains to city, it's like you're out there. It's busy. It's chaotic. You want to kind of come home to a space that feels like yours, that you can relax, and it's like you really own it. And you're seeing a lot of that here. And I don't know. You mentioned this earlier. I was just thinking about like the transition from young adulthood to like medium adulthood, I guess, but
right
for guys, and based on the TV show I made, it was like that's kind of about that transition of leaving your sort of dude friends and moving towards your single adult male place.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's a fun journey. I think I was ahead of the curve. I lived with a lot of fucking disgusting people over the years, and it was fun. It was more fun than it wasn't worth it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just put up with it. But man, a lot of nasty toilets, a lot of disgusting floors.
Dude.
Oh yeah.
That's another funny, disgusting toilet. One guy I roomed with when I was studying abroad, I remember shaved his pubes over a toilet and didn't clean up. And I remember we all accused him of it. And he went in and took a look, and he's like, "That's not even what color my pubes are." That was his defense.
Amazing.
I like how it went to court.
Can't argue with that one.
I like how it went to house court, and nobody
Wait,
said. Look,
how did he deal with that?
It was all kind. I think I'm trying to remember who ended up cleaning it. The main thing I remember was him being like, "Mine aren't even blonde."
Oh, love it.
Or he was saying they were blonde. I can't remember.
Oh man, I don't understand people who don't clean up like their any kind of shaving hair, etc.
No,
like
me neither. Or
like what?
In the shower, like unless you are, you don't share a shower with someone, ladies or people with long hair, if you take your hair out and you put it on the wall, grab it, put it in the fucking toilet when you're done.
So,
it's so gross to see a bunch of fucking hair on the wall of the shower,
I think that's a huge subculture that we can that's a separate sub, but
yeah, I bet you're
guys
right.
get a lot of shit for their pubes, etc., being all over the bathroom, but but women's hair, I think it's
everywhere.
It's probably more destructive and intense. It's less gross, I'll say that, because it's not pube related, but like it will fucking clog a drain, and then I'm the guy that fishes it out, and I'm like, holy shit, that is like a gerbil in there.
Like that's disgusting.
Yeah, it's that's a cool room.
Yeah, this is a cool room. This is a cool room. That's not a real photo of that's not a photo. That's a video. But the way they've made this, it makes it look like there's a beautiful window, and I'm just kind of like, what is your window actually to? That's so funny. That's in Moscow, a notoriously expensive city.
Well, that guy owns a couple natural oil wells.
Yeah, exactly.
A natural oil well. Anyway, yeah. So I know we got to close this one out. I mean, I think this sub says a fair amount about what it means to be successful as a young adult. I think it's a really interesting, like, just the template. I mean, as I'm kind of scrolling through, I mean, I would encourage everybody to go look, because it is very inspiring. I don't want to take a cynical perspective on it. I don't think it's worth being cynical about, but it is like, it's hard not to look at it and be like, how else can you express your success? And what does it mean that IKEA in like places like that have essentially created the template that you use, because I think that's the other thing too, is like so much of this shit
fight clubby. Yeah.
It feels like this is like somebody at IKEA was like, hey, we've noticed a thing. Like, we
You know
need to
what?
only make this kind of thing and people will buy it because everybody thinks that's what success looks like, right?
And to that point, like I think historically, I don't know, I haven't been around for all of mankind's time, but let's just say the last like 60 years, I think a lot of home design was directed at women, maybe. And maybe in the last like 25 years, they realized like guys are into this too. And I think there's more marketing towards men in sort of like the home decor space world than there probably used to be. And just like people live alone longer now, especially guys. So there's it feels like there's an emerging market of the last 25 years of like men's home decor being a thing, where maybe it just didn't used to be a market that was this big. So that's a nice room. I like this room.
This is very good. This is the last one we're gonna end on. This is really proud of my new space. Any suggestions? And this is just literally a fold out. It's like a folding camping chair with a single beer in the cup holder and on carpet. Literally nothing else.
So happy for them. There's nothing, you know what? There's nothing but potential in that picture.
There is nothing but potential. That is so positive. I love it.
I have one more depressing thought. A lot of these people maybe have like dead end jobs. I'm just totally guessing. But is their living space like the one creation they have control over? And is it the only source of sort of personal pride in their life? I don't know, maybe, like maybe is that the thing? Like I think Dad, you make music, like that's going to get you more satisfaction than buying a names chair or something like that. But if that really don't have like an artistic outlet, maybe the home is it for them,
I mean, and I think that is like the thing we didn't really talk about. I mean, maybe we'll talk about it another time, but like that's the thing about when I think about what my space would be if I was in this situation, there might be some shared parts of this, but like a lot of it is going to feel very distinctly different because of the things that I think bring me joy, right? Like it would be like a very big bookshelf, right? It would be a lot of these weird knickknacks that are meant to kind of, I see it and it evokes a feeling. It'd be a lot of candles, There's a lot of things that are just designed around establishing mood instead of establishing, which, one could say this is about establishing mood, but like I would rather someone, see some more personality about who I am, not necessarily what I have done. You know what I mean? Or what I am trying to accomplish, which I think is so much more about what the sub is about in a lot of ways, where you kind of come home, you look at the city and you're kind of like, I really made it, didn't I? Right? I got this Eames chair.
And then the
got
question
this,
I would say
pretty good rum.
What have you made, bro?
Right.
And then it's like, oh no. And then you'll end up in this room in just the nothing chair. And that's where you'll start to really make it in your mind.
Exactly.
That's what
make it in your mind. But anyway, all right. So check out Male Living Spaces, or Male Living Space rather. So r/Male Living Space. Very interesting. Again, like it sounds like we're coming off a little cynically, which I guess we are to some degree, but ultimately
we're
this
millennials.
Is a very popular sub. There's a very popular sub that I think is very good inspiration and actually a very like encouraging place. So check it out, male or not. If you're a female, this is also a good place. Hit a couple randoms, close this guy out. What do I got? Respect the threads. Educational resource meant to provide useful information on a character's capabilities for the purpose of who would win in a fight style debate. Respect threads should be clear, concise, and accurately portray the character in question.
This is funny. Respect Baloo.
Interesting.
Respect
So look at the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your word. Baloo is a fun-loving Oh, wow. Interesting. What a weird sub. This is amazing. This is so this is like a respect. Yeah, it's like meant to provide. So let's reread that again. So it's an educational resource meant to provide useful information on a character's capabilities for the purpose of who would win in a fight style debate. So this is literally
hilarious.
What a weird thread.
This is literally like,
I like this
if you're in a fight and someone's like, Baloo, Shere Khan's the strongest character in the Jungle Book. It's like, Hey, just go to respect threads and there will be one where you will have all the stats on Baloo so you can like come back with a really strong argument.
Wow. This is the sub we all need. Like,
It's
if you want to argue about somebody with something, where do you get it all at one place? This is it.
Dude,
This is what it is.
I love it.
They have
very strong.
So they have a master. This is the master threads list where you have comics and I mean it goes down to everything. What is literature? So
guys, this is so funny.
What a wild.
So it's respect the thread.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and it's all about. So this is so fun. It's so funny. Like Harry Potter, respect the thread. Albus Dumbledore, flying. So like just grabbing one. So respect the thread for Mad Eye Moody, who was like a character on Harry Potter. So magic. So are you threatening me? He said so loudly that passersby turned to stare. Yes, I am, said Mad Eye, who seemed rather pleased that Uncle Vernon had grasped the fact so quickly. So this is literally a breakdown of all of the things that would make this person win in a fight.
This is so amazing.
What a fucking
we need to do
wild
this one.
Yeah, well, this might be the next one we do because this is actually quite strange and quite interesting.
The threads is brilliant.
That's great.
Respect the threads. Okay, cool. Well, this has been Male Living Spaces. You have been listening to Did You Reddit, a weekly podcast about the internet by way of Reddit, the front page of the internet. My name is It's Your Dad.
I'm Dog Boobs.
My every day out here.
We'll be back next week. Like, rate, subscribe, tell your friends. Thank you, Believe Networks, for all the gifts that you've given us. We appreciate the nice cigar boxes you sent each of us. I know it's very expensive. We're gonna keep them close on. We're not gonna open them.
Great Cubans, though.
The really nice Cubans.
Thank you for sending us Cubans. I got a Cuban.
Thanks for the Eames chairs.
You got a Cuban.
We'll be back next week with another episode. Maybe respect threads. Respect threads.
Respect threads.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
All right. See you guys later.
Later.